Hey guys, welcome back to Chilling Crime Cases. Please like, comment and subscribe for weekly cases from around the world. Today we're going to be looking at the chilling case of lottery winner Abraham Shakespeare, who trusted the wrong people and didn't exercise any caution, which ultimately led to his untimely death. Get yourselves a drink and let's jump right into the case. Winning the lottery. Most of us wish it could happen to us. I think I'm right in saying we've all dreamt and fantasized about how we could change our lives and what we would spend our newfound fortune on. Imagine being a millionaire and having the option never to work again. It's something that we've all thought about at some point in our lives. However, we rarely give much thought to the bad and harmful stuff that comes with winning the lottery. It's always the good stuff for some reason. Statistics actually show that 6 out of 10 people who win up to $10 million declare bankruptcy in less than 5 years. Unfortunately for lottery winner Abraham Shakespeare, he would be losing a lot more than his winnings. He would also be losing his life. Abraham Lee Shakespeare was born on April 24, 1966 in sunny Florida. In 2006, Abraham Shakespeare was working as a truck driver's assistant. He was on his way to Miami with a co-worker named Michael Ford when they stopped briefly at a convenience store to buy some drinks and cigarettes. Abraham stayed in the truck, but Michael Ford did ask if he wanted anything from the store. He asked him to buy 2 lottery tickets and gave Ford $2 to buy them. One of them turned out to be the winning ticket. He won $30 million in the jackpot. Abraham chose to take a one-time lump sum payment, which amounted to just under $17 million. Abraham's life pretty much changed overnight, as you'd expect after winning the lottery. He moved out of his humble working-class neighborhood and bought himself a large $1 million house in a gated community. Apart from that, the only other luxury items he bought himself were a brand new Nissan Altima and a Rolex watch which he got from a pawn shop. A newspaper article published 2 months after his win revealed he still ate $4 dinners at the same down-market restaurant. "I'm not a material person," he said. "I don't let material things ruin me. I'm on a tight budget." He did spend to set a trust fund for his son and gave $600,000 to his stepdad and $150,000 to each of his 3 stepsisters. Trouble soon came knocking on the door in the form of jealous ex-co-worker Michael Ford, who just couldn't get over the fact that Abraham was now worth $17 million and he was still working as a laborer. He felt entitled to some of the winnings and demanded $1 million, which Shakespeare refused to pay. Not willing to take no for an answer, Ford escalated it to a lawsuit and told the court that Abraham had allegedly stolen the lottery tickets from his wallet. The courts were not convinced and Abraham won the case. After winning the case, Abraham told a newspaper that Ford used to be a really good friend of his, and if he had only waited, he would have given him $250,000. Unfortunately for Abraham, that was only the beginning of his problems. There would be much worse in store for him. Abraham was very generous with his money and helped multiple people within his community as well as strangers. He paid for their bills and funeral expenses, but everything he was doing for these people was never enough in their eyes. It also didn't help that he couldn't say no to them, and even when he tried to, he always gave in to their pleas for help in the end. The constant daily begging for money was relentless, and the novelty of winning the lottery soon wore off for Abraham. He even told his brother that he would have been better off broke. A close childhood friend of his remembers him saying that he thought all these people were his friends, but then he realized that all they wanted was his money. With the money, the women came and he had a succession of girlfriends, but he soon realized that they were only after his money. A former girlfriend, Centauria Butler, mentioned how people would spot Abraham on the street. They would bombard him with their financial problems and he would give them the money without asking any questions. He even had random prisoners sending him begging letters asking for money and he would send it to them. He thought with his heart and not with his head. Sheriff Grady Judd told a reporter that it was common knowledge around town that people were tugging on him. It wasn't just strangers who got stuck into him. Jeremy Reed, Abraham's brother, revealed that one time when he was visiting Abraham, within 30 minutes of the visit, 8 different strangers rang him asking for financial help. By 2008, Abraham was miserable. He had spent and given away a substantial amount of his fortune. That was when 36-year-old Doris Moore, another conniving opportunist, came into his life. Doris, known as Dee Dee, told Abraham that she was writing a book about how people were taking advantage of him, and in no time at all, she had won his trust. Dee Dee was an extremely cunning and tenacious woman who had an agenda from the get-go. In Abraham, she saw someone who she could easily manipulate. She clung on and decided that she was never going to let go. He was simply going to be her cash cow, and she was going to milk him for everything he had. Dee Dee soon became his financial advisor, helping him open a company and giving herself the ability to control his money. He allowed her to do this because she made out that she had his best interests at heart. Unfortunately, Abraham fell for the act. Dee Dee wasted no time at all and started executing her agenda by embezzling some of Abraham's money. She started by withdrawing around $1 million, which she used to go on luxury holidays. She even bought herself new cars, which included a Hummer, a Corvette, and a truck. She later claimed the money was given to her as a gift. Not long after that, Dee Dee now had full control of Abraham's assets, which included millions of dollars, his mansion, and she was determined to retrieve all the money that Abraham had lent out. She started playing the role of a debt collector. In April 2009, Abraham disappeared without a trace. The possibilities that were considered from the beginning were that he had fled to some remote place or that he had been a victim of a crime. The fact that Thanksgiving had passed without a single call was a great concern to his family and close friends. Dee Dee insisted that he'd run away to the Caribbean because he was stressed from all the pestering for his money. She claimed that he was planning on not coming back and didn't want to be found. Abraham's mother could not shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. It was completely out of character for her son, who she spoke to regularly, not to have contacted her for this long. Unfortunately, her mother's intuition would be true, and her worst fears would be realized. The following short home video of Abraham was taken by Dee Dee. In the video, Dee Dee is asking him what seems to be premeditated questions on how winning the lottery made him feel and what country he would like to run away to escape from the people that were pestering him for money. She shared this video with the authorities after his disappearance.
You just ready to start living your life, huh?
They don't take no for an ounce or so. And just let them keep on and keep on acting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sleeping on the video camera. So where do you want to go to?
It don't matter to me. I'm not a picky person.
California? You want a foreign country?
About ready?
Cozumel?
About ready?
Yeah. Well, how do you like are you gonna miss your home?
Yep, I miss it, but life goes on.
Months went by and con artist Dee Dee tried to convince people Abraham was still alive. She started using his phone to send messages to his family to trick them into thinking that he was okay and would even send them letters. It was a well-known fact that Abraham couldn't read or write. When he was in 7th grade, he dropped out of school, and during his youth, he was a regular in Lakeland prison due to some petty thefts. When suspicious friends texted back with questions that Dee Dee couldn't answer, she would stop replying. While the police continued to treat her as a murder suspect, she carried on giving interviews, playing the innocent bystander. She told a local newspaper, "The money was like a curse to him, and now it's become a curse to me. God knows I would never take a human being's life." Dee Dee was not fazed that people suspected her of having something to do with Abraham's disappearance. Whilst everyone's fingers were pointed at her, she brazenly moved into his house, started driving his car, and continued to aggressively collect money from people who Abraham had given loans to. There were no limits to her deception, and she became even more shamelessly brazen in her cover-up attempts. She paid one of Abraham's relatives $5,000 to hand deliver a birthday card to his devastated mother. The mother of Abraham's young son claimed that Dee Dee offered her a house to lie and say that she had recently seen him. Her fate was sealed when she tried to ask a man to help her find someone who would be willing to take the blame for murdering Abraham for $50,000. Unfortunately for her, the man she approached was actually an informant who was hired by detectives to get close to her. In January 2010, investigators searched the house that was purchased by Dee Dee in the town of Plant City. The lottery winner's body was found buried in the yard under a concrete slab. Dee Dee had managed to get him to the home and shot him twice. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, where the body was found, explained that his remains were identified by his fingerprints. Following the gruesome discovery, Abraham's mother, Elizabeth Walker, said her son was too kind and trusting to suddenly find himself with so much money. On December 10th, 2012, Dee Dee was convicted of first-degree murder for the killing of Abraham Shakespeare and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Surprisingly, to this day, Dee Dee Moore still insists on her innocence and has appealed her sentence. Moore was described by Judge Emmett Buttles as cold and calculating, and even her own lawyer refused to help her with her appeal because he felt so sad for the victim. Ironically, in June 2017, Antoinette Andrews, a former girlfriend of Abraham Shakespeare, won $1 million on a Monopoly scratch card. Unfortunately, she has a serious gambling addiction, but hopefully her story will be very different. This concludes the chilling case of Abraham Shakespeare, a tragic case that could have been prevented if he had exercised more caution and not been so trusting. Giving this much money to someone who didn't have any financial literacy was always going to end in some form of a disaster. Are you still going to play the lottery? If so, let me know in the comments what you do with the money if you were ever to win. Thanks for watching this video. I want to know what you guys think. Please like, comment and subscribe for weekly cases. And you can also let me know of any other cases that you'd like me to cover.